And I lived in San Diego for 4.5 years. I was working there. I finished my MBA at USD, Catholic school, a Jesuit school, and I was very close to it. So, and it has a top medical department, great hospitals and doctors in San Diego. The medical standards in America is the highest in the world, except the prices are also by far the highest in the world. So it makes great sense for you all to attract American doctors to come here, and then the insurance is the highest in the world too. So with a more sensible insurance rate in America, less lawsuits, liability and other things, it makes great sense for San Diegan doctors or Los Angeles doctors to fly down here and treat patients. Yeah. So, and your labor rates are lower, and all the cost of living is lower. So it's actually a great medical tourism. It's really a fantastic thing you could look at. And the Chinese people, although in China, common medical care is very cheap. We're talking about, had back problem. I went to register for a specialist, 12 yuan. 12 yuan is like $1.50. Yeah, it's like 30 pesos to get to see an expert, okay? And this is a top hospital, yeah, because they have socialized medicine. However, they're very rich. The people know the foreigners. If they have a disease like cancer, like they want open heart surgery, they would prefer to come to America or Canada. And in this case, why not Tijuana? So that would be a great thing. Yeah. Okay, briefly I talk about tourism, and then we can stop and I can entertain some questions. Here you go. This is, the bigger picture is the total tourists visiting 1995 to 2018. And France, by far, still beats everybody. Yeah, United States, you'll be maybe surprised, but United States has a lot of attractions. France is almost always Paris. It's probably more than 50%. But America has New York, has Chicago, has Boston, has San Francisco, has LA, and we have a great national parks, my favorite. So that's a lot. And China is ramping up too. If you haven't been to China, please go, because you don't wait until every corner has a KFC and a McDonald's and Starbucks. It kind of changes the, I find it rather a bit not quite depressing to see the same things I see in America. In China, you really have to go into a very, very small village not to find a McDonald's, you know. And then, sorry to say, people are getting more and more unhealthy because of the soft drinks, because of the fast food, and diabetes, heart diseases, high blood pressure, all skyrocketing in China. Used to be very low, these are all skyrocketing. No thanks to this fast food. Okay, Spain, and arrival, 2017, again, France, Spain, USA, China. But China is coming up because it has a lot of attractions. Now, what is incredible is the outbound. Okay, here you go. Yeah, the outbound by 2030, 220 million Chinese will be going overseas. That is the adult population of America. Okay? Yeah. So this is an incredible market. And by that time, they would have been used to Paris and Rome and San Francisco and New York. They want someplace different. I myself is trying to help promote ecotourism. You have some ecotourism too. Other than Costa Rica, you have some tropical forests, you have volcanoes, you have other stuff that the young people want to feel like they're environmentally friendly. They want to save. In one of the places, you have kind of fish that is dying because people are killing them. Near Baja? Yeah, what kind of fish that they've been killing them? Yeah, okay, so here you go. Yeah, so, Brazil, the Amazon forests are burning down. So I just came from Borneo forest a month ago, deep into the jungle. And I'm getting a lot into that. So young people want to have different places anymore. The hottest, here's a good a pun. The hottest destination for Chinese now is where? Do you know? Antarctica, the coldest place on Earth. So they're running out of places to go to, and they are going to Antarctica now because they have money, and they want to go because they have been stuck in China for 25, 35 years. They want to see the world, more than anybody else. They didn't have a passport before. So here's a big part. And they like to go to America, okay? So Tijuana is the greatest stopover. I heard your airport has direct flights now, yeah? To Hantu, okay? And cruises, they love cruises. And the Chinese love gambling, all right? So have casino ships. I already told Samuel the last time. Fly them in, give them one free night on the cruise ship, and they'll lose all the money to your casinos. Give them free lodging. Give them free lodging. Give them a free cruise ship. I'm sure you'll earn back from the casinos, all right? Don't quote me, okay? That's been awful. But I know because I don't gamble. I see my friends and relatives, they gamble. So that's another great attraction for you. And also, the Chinese spend a lot. 2 years ago in Chinese New Year, 20,000 Chinese were in Los Angeles. And they spend average 10 days there, and they spend $6,000 US per person. That's the highest expenditure of any tourist in the world, more than Japanese or Americans or Germans. Why? Because they buy a lot of luxury products. They want to eat good, they want to stay good. So no cheapies, all right? So that's another good thing. All right, finally, this is what I was talking about, industrial sector. I don't have time to talk about government and personal. The last speaker really talked about it, and maybe I should kind of close that end and then answer some questions. So if you want to contact me, we can individually talk later, or take a picture of my email, phone number, and my WhatsApp is using my US number. So we could keep in contact. And with that, thank you very much. Would you all want to ask some questions? Okay, we have a question here. Yeah, there you go, the speaker. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vincent, for that.
It's okay, we can hear you loud enough. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that information, Doctor. Yes, I have one simple question that Samuel already touched it, but he explained something. Talks about us of China. What do you think is the next step that we should take to get to that place, like you said, design in America, like the iPhone, so we can pass from manufacturing only to the design, so we can keep more of that benefit here in Mexico, but
You see, if you look at Tijuana and California, San Diego, Los Angeles, it's just the same as Shenzhen with Hong Kong. Yeah? And then we call it the Bay Area in San Francisco Bay. In China, they call it a 大湾区. There is the big Bay Area, which is Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Foshan, and all that. And it's a bigger Bay Area that the GDP, if not, I think it already surpassed the San Francisco Bay Area. The Bay Area near Hong Kong and Shenzhen is probably the highest concentration of GDP in the world, with 5 major metropolises producing a lot. And here you are close to Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco. This will be a perfect launching pad. Now, when I travel, I like to go to grocery shops too. I did go to grocery shops. And I find the same goods half or 1/3 the price of San Diego. Some of the goods, yeah? Not the imported stuff. But the same beer or the same liquor or whatever is much lower. And then the hotels, the manual labor, they're all cheaper. So, but you don't want to make T-shirts, just like China doesn't want to make T-shirts. So you are next to at the moment, the biggest market in the world, which is America, market, buying things. So you should bring things here which is high value added, but needs some manual labor. You don't want to make supercomputer, but because the supercomputer and the manual labor is very small. You don't want to make Boeing 777 because you don't have enough skilled labor, right? So not the whole plane, not the whole plane. Even China is just back into it. You want to get something which is high value added. Maybe the manual labor, I cannot break it down, maybe 25%, yeah? And then the capital is not 25, and then the equipment and all the rest of it. I think medical equipment is perfect, yeah? High value trucks and cars are perfect. Industrial park. And you have talents too. Last trip we went to Ensenada. And you know, this is the second trip for me this year. And I'm favorably impressed. There was a nanotechnology center over there. And there are biotech companies there. And the beaches are just as beautiful as San Diego. Yeah, it's the same shoreline. So you have, like China, you have great talent. English speaking, good in mathematics, and close to the biggest market in the world. I think that's, those figures that things are coming to Mexico don't lie. So maybe, I don't like to say that, maybe in your favor would be Donald Trump gets reelected. Okay, I don't want to predict that. But well, I told the Chinese, whether Donald Trump is getting elected or not, U.S.-China trade relationship will never go back to what it was 5 or 10 years ago. Because China has grown up. China is moving its muscle. People are a little bit taken aback now. So if Donald Trump gets re-elected, does not get elected, maybe the tariff will change, but China has learned its lesson. Huawei will not be stupid to depend on America anymore. And then Apple will try to get out of China, and China's own companies are going to leave because they cannot wait for another Donald Trump to come along. Chinese people, I'm ethnically Chinese, so I'm boasting about myself too, are very wise people because we've been around 5,000 years. We have seen it all. So we see this thing that happened the last 2 years, we learn a lesson from it. We don't want to have the same thing happen. So even if Donald Trump doesn't get elected, somebody like Obama gets reelected, the Chinese are ready for the next time because they don't want to get punished again. They don't want to get, caught with their pants down again. So in other words, the next 10, 20 years is greatly in favor of Mexico. You don't see Mexico having problems with America, do you? Not really, yeah. So you have the biggest market in the world still friendly with you. So I think that's the way to answer your question. Yeah, maybe one other question? Okay. Here you go.
Hello?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Jim. It's in the similar line, would entrepreneurs or innovators from China that are interested in doing business or developing their enterprises, their startups in Silicon Valley, is that a common trend? And do you think Tijuana could be a launching pad for those entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs? Maybe they've innovated in terms of the technology, but they need the business development skills and acumen that could be available in the Silicon Valley.
Yeah, thank you. A good question. It's more cultural. We have a saying that the Silicon Valley is made out of ICs, you probably heard, Indians and Chinese, other than the white people, of course. So the Chinese are major entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. And Chinese meaning from mainland, from Hong Kong, from Taiwan, even people from Singapore, ethnically Chinese, we kind of behave in a similar manner. For Mexico, it is a good launching pad, but I want to say something, I hope it doesn't hurt you, okay? But I'm going to say it anyway. Your biggest problem is the PR, your reputation. As you well know, if you go to Mexico, you face that, yeah? So I'm from Mexico, oh, they're going to talk about, drugs, shooting, and maybe they think you are sleeping on the beach, sipping, what's the beer with the lemon on it? Corona. Yeah, you're sipping Corona, enjoying yourself. But of course, this is not the whole picture. So one of the biggest things you need to solve is the public relations problem. All right? So you need, well, that's what Singapore government did. I was part of the Economic Development Board. And up to today, it's one of the two most famous development agencies in the world. The other one is the IDA, the Island Development Agency. So the Singapore EDB and the Irish Development Agency are the two most famous, powerful development agencies in the world. Everywhere we go, people know we represent countries that are very transparent, very legal, and we'll pull out all the stops, no chops, no waiting, and sometimes in the same day you get something signed, and tomorrow you can bring it. You need to change. I'm not here to advise your government. Yeah, you are here to change internally and change externally. It's no good if you change internally, but other people still think that you are mañana. You are still enjoying yourself. You still have gangsters. You know, that's bad. You know, so I would say change internally and externally. Have a consistent campaign. It will take you 5 or 10 years to change it. But every step, you know, every journey, we have a saying in Chinese, right? I mean, even a 1,000-mile journey starts with the first step. So you got to take a first step, and fantastic conduit like Samuel, because until I met him personally, I didn't know that he's actually like me. He's a son-in-law of China. We both married to a Chinese woman. Is yours like that? He didn't want to admit, okay. Similar, okay. So here's a big mistake. A lot of people think that Chinese women are always standing behind. They may be standing behind when you are there. At home, they are not standing behind, okay. And they rule because they take care of your children. And we love children. They say, okay, yeah. So they control the children, in turn they control you. But anyway, go internally, have more legal system, have a stronger development agency, have national rules. Right now, are your states of a lot of independence? I don't know, yeah. States, yeah. If you have too much independence, now, the good thing about Singapore is a small city, but it's a country. Nobody will say, okay, it works here, it doesn't work there. It works every place else, yeah. And the face thing is not as bad in Singapore. So your government has to improve, and you have to pay attention to the outside public relations. Singapore EDB, here you go. I'll say this and I will stop. The Singapore EDB has more branches in the world than the embassy. Okay? There you go. So we put the priority right. Money is more important than diplomacy. In the EU, in the whole of Europe, Singapore has only 2 embassies, 3 embassies. One in the EU, Brussels, one in the Vatican, and one in London. London is important. But, oh, okay, there's Paris too. But there's none in Rome. There's no embassy in Sweden. There's no embassy in Portugal. But in most of the industrial cities, in Sweden, we have an EDB office there. And there are more people in the EDB than in the embassy. The embassy is just chopping your visa. But development board gets in money. Yeah? So again, internally change and externally change other people's idea about you, and you will make a big improvement. All right? Oh, well, okay, one last question.
Thank you, Dr. Vincent Yip. Delightful presentation.
Thank you.
Delightful presentation. I'm Avi Cardenas from Canacentro Chamber. And you just mentioned and give some advice about how an entrepreneur can get involved in this wave or Chinese wave. You mentioned something really interesting, that China grew with no mistake. There was a plan, not from the last 5 years, not the last, I would say at least the 50 last year they had a plan to be in a position to fight, as you mentioned, one-to-one with the greatest economy that is the United States. Of course, we are not, Mexico is not in the same position as it is China right now to fight one-to-one with the USA. And what I'm trying to say here, and the question is, with your knowledge about the Chinese culture, how they've been developed, what do you identify as the main thing that China did to be in this position 50, 60 years later? I would say not only from a governmental point of view, but also from a business perspective, so we can take that advice to start applying it right now in order for the next 50 years be in a much better position and be thinking that Mexico can be the next China.
Oh, by the way, I need to add, I think that one of the first things you need to do if you do the business in China is you have to go over there, because going through the internet or WeChat or whatever, it's not going to work. Even today's China is still a person-to-person relationship most important. Answering your question directly is that, firstly, the word fight, the Chinese will never use, because the Chinese want to be humble or they want to be different. I would advise, you said Martin Jacques' book is very good. Please, if you want to go to China, read the book, When China Rules the World. I used it to teach my course, Doing Business in China. But some people don't like it because of the title of the book is very scary. However, if you Google the last 20 centuries of GDPs around the world, do you know 18 out of 20 centuries, which country has the largest GDP? China. And at times, India had the second largest GDP. It was only in the 19th century that England and America went to the front. And Martin Jacques will tell you that China is not trying to be number one again. China is not trying to be number one. China is reclaiming its rightful place in history. And don't count on me. Martin Jacques is not Chinese. He's Scottish, but he was from Hong Kong. He was married to a Chinese woman from Hong Kong. So he knows what he's talking about. Yeah? So the book is, of course, a little bit sensational, but most of the data, most of the cultural interpretation, you can YouTube him. He has many YouTube talks. He will explain to you many of the answers even better than I can. So China basically is reclaiming its place in the world. However, even in 20 centuries, 2,000 years, 5,000, I can tell you the Chinese people, as a nation, as a people, never wanted to invade other people and occupy other people. The Chinese people have never colonized any colony, right? I know what you're going to say. We don't want to talk about it, Tibet and all the rest of it, because it was part of China. I think your people are gone. So the Tibet thing is separate issue, but China never went to other places and fought a war and occupied it and bring it home. China has gone overseas and befriended people, asked them to trade. So the One Belt, One Road is the same thing. It's recreating the old China, strong, popular trade, but not control. No military, no political influence, but economic influence. Yes, they're in South America, especially in Africa, the Chinese are all over, but as businessmen. There's no air base there. There's no naval base there. There's no secret service there. So that's the difference. So I would say China is not trying to fight America as number one. China is regaining its economic status in the world, and in a way they don't want to be bullied. In the book you will hear, you know what's the Opium War mentality? Yeah, more than 200 years ago, China was stepped all over by the big, powers, most of the European countries and Japan and Russia, and begged people and cut away land, paid restitution and all that. And it was a very hard lesson And the Chinese people are waking up in the last 70 years after 1949. This year will be 70 years. Yeah, so it's re-waking. So I would say, other than going to China, before you go to China, please read some Chinese history, some culture. Talk to Samuel, talk to me, talk to our friend here, and then understand more. Don't go as if it's just a tourism trip. Then you'll gain more. And be prepared to have the sensitivity, prepared with gifts. That's very important. Yeah. And don't get caught because they're going to give you all kinds of gifts and you have nothing to return. That's shameful. Yeah? And speeches, long speeches, short speeches, because they are going to give speeches. And you have to learn how to toast, have a strong stomach, drink a lot of hot liquor, yeah, and a lot of other things. Some do, some don't, yeah. And it's a whole course to learn how to deal with China. Okay, thank you again. Thank you.
Well, it has been a wonderful presentation. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. It has been a trip with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And one advice that I got here, besides the information that you already shared, is that even you don't stop learning. So thank you. That's also an advice for us. So we have to keep reading, searching, and finding those kind of information that is key for our business. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
And come visit us soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y finalmente, Samuel, muchísimas gracias. Te pido que vengas, por favor. Realmente eres un aliado muy valioso para la región. No lo digo nada más para DEITAC, sino para toda la región. Realmente Baja California ha sido muy afortunado de tener una persona tan nacionalista que lleva su región en el corazón, y lo ha hecho durante muchos años, como lo hizo para el gobierno del estado, y ahora lo hace desde una trinchera diferente, haciendo alianzas y fortalezas aquí en la región. Así que, Samuel, muchísimas gracias por tu apoyo y espero seguir trabajando contigo. Muchas gracias.
Pues muy agradecido. Ha sido un día que yo creo que todos los que estuvimos aquí desde la mañana nos llevamos un panorama muy, muy claro de lo que está pasando y de lo que puede pasar y de ese ecosistema que se está forjando. DEITAC es líder, DEITAC siempre ha sido líder aquí en Baja California, en Tijuana, entonces, y ahora que estamos aquí con Carlos, que estamos con Patti, que ustedes conocen lo que está pasando, lo que están haciendo, pues están realmente a la vanguardia de los temas, y China pues debe estar ahí arriba. Gabriel, agradecemos también ese empuje que estás dando, agradecemos al municipio que también está dando ese empuje, que realmente se están uniendo todos los frentes, todos los que tenemos que estar, estamos, así que el 2020 pinta muy bonito para Baja California y China. Gracias.
Muy bien, gracias. Gracias nuevamente.
Formalmente, con este último reconocimiento damos por concluido este tercer seminario, y quisiera solamente decirles que estamos preparando, gracias a la alianza que se firmó esta mañana, un programa muy complejo, intenso, atractivo, y que lanzaremos próximamente, porque consideramos que en efecto lo que comenta el doctor Vincent es real. Tenemos que hacer una misión exploratoria, pero ya ahora llevando la estrategia que estamos formando junto con esta mentoría y también con esta visión de ir por los negocios correctos. Por lo tanto, iniciaremos con una serie de presentaciones para educar a nuestros inversionistas, ahora sí que a nuestros colaboradores dentro de la membresía de DEITAC. Esto lo lanzaremos próximamente con un programa que debe de cumplir con una cantidad de temas, entre ellos hasta revisión de la presentación de sus empresas y de sus corporativos para poder llegar de una manera adecuada al mercado. Y bueno, eso es parte de lo que estamos preparando para 2020, así que nada más que ustedes lo sepan, nuestro primer propósito sería estar allá en mayo. Estamos cambiándole las metas a la SEDECO, ellos la traían para abril, pero bueno, creo que podemos hacer algo especial. Y la otra es que así como queremos ir, queremos que ellos nos visiten, y cuando nos visiten queremos que el ecosistema esté consciente, adecuado y sobre todo educado. para poder recibir las oportunidades y poderlas asentar, no sé si sea en una mejor velocidad, pero creo que de la forma adecuada. Y bueno, muchas gracias por su atención, los esperamos en las próximas actividades. Estuvieron rotando las actividades que tenemos en la siguiente semana. Tenemos un desayuno, es un panel hablando precisamente de la guerra comercial China, Estados Unidos, la oportunidad que se refleja con el USMCA, y vienen expertos de Wharton School de Pensilvania. Se incluye nuestra membresía, por favor participen, es una invitación abierta a nuestros asociados y bueno, eso es lo próximo. Muchas gracias.